I don't know what's going on. It's the remix version, Thomas. Well, we apologize for getting off to such a late start. Kentucky Downs today, closing day, 12 races. God, there had to be, 300 horses in those 12 races, Tom?
It seemed that way.
Never ending.
They're, with minor exceptions, they're all full fields.
And then we got a lot of scratches at the end, kind of upsetting our tickets. So it was definitely a race to the finish line, Thomas. There's no question. And unfortunately, we didn't get to the finish line on time, but better late than never, as they say, right?
Well, and the first race is what? About 60 minutes plus away.
So we're going to have to hustle through our picks. Before we get to our picks, real quick, if you didn't get a chance to, last night, Susan Packard, one of the founders of HGTV, was on with Sean and Jamie. She was the first woman on the Churchill board. So she's got a lot of wonderful credentials. They're going to be hosting a meeting out at Santa Anita in a couple of weeks for women in racing, but men are invited as well. We'll put a link for all of that good stuff, and you can watch the show. It's really well worth your time on Horse Racing Radar TV. While you're here, please hit the subscribe button. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at the stuff you see scrolling below. All right, Tom, let's get on with the show. Race number 1 at Kentucky Downs is 1 mile on the turf. There's a whole lot of them today at 1 mile on the turf, Thomas. They've run 18 races so far, 11 of which were won by speed, 3 of which went wire to wire. There is a little bonus if you ride the rail, which is kind of weird for there. 2 and 3 get a penalty. 4 through 7 have been the best so far. 8 and out is a penalty as well. Let's quickly take a look at what the pace setup looks like in race number 1. You can see that there are a few scratches in here that are going to impact the race. Maybe, probably not, but you see the 13 horse.
They're maidens.
Yeah, and you got these guys out. You got the first-time starter out. The one horse of note in here for me is the 7 horse. The 3 horse looks like it wants to lead, but I think the 7 horse is going to get that. So maybe that improved position might be enough for the 7 horse to get the job done. I didn't put that on the screen, did I, Thomas? So let me put it on the screen so you can see there's the 7 horse. All right, so there we go. So now let's go ahead and take a look at your picks. Tom, this is your box it up for race number 1. Tell us why you're going to put these 4 horses together in. And I got to say, after going through this one, of all the box it ups that we've ever seen, if I'm really hoping you hit this one, because like Metallica says, if you hit this one for the rest of the day, nothing else matters.
No, it will not. That's very true. Because this is, one thing I did want to point, and that was, I saw a little article about it. There have been no maiden claiming races at Kentucky Downs. And did you see what the purse is, the total purse is for all the maiden special weights?
I have not. Probably like over $1 million.
$18 million.
Oh, nice.
Not bad.
No.
So with that, I'm going to take number 9. Barrett is my top choice. Hasn't raced since December of 2021. Finished 10th. It was claimed out of that race. And before that race, it ran a little better with an even finish. Layoffs, I like the works. It's Mike Maker. He's doing very well at this track, to say the least. I do have one concern. There was a vet scratch of this horse in August. But I think it's really going to give it a shot, and I like for the price. Number 8.
Ugroda.
This one, I knew I was going to pronounce it wrong. Raced at Gulfstream in January. First start strong at the beginning and finished okay. Got 4th. Layoff, obviously. Works are good, but they're not special. The thing I found interesting was this is a Shadwell-owned horse, that it was now been transferred to Andrew McKee. So he's taking his time with this horse, and I'm looking for a price.
Well, you're looking for a price on every horse you have here, Tom. Let's be honest.
I am. But that was what makes it fun.
That's why I said I'm hoping this one hits, because it will be a Metallica day. Nothing else will matter.
Yeah, well, 5 I think is going to be a little shorter price. That's Shady Road. 2 efforts. It's got a 3rd and a 5th. One was at Ellis and the other one was at Churchill. Now it moves to the turf, and it's got some nice works with that, and it's been working since July. Cyrus Curlin, he's pretty good. tossing some nice horses, and his numbers are okay too. 12% winners on the turf and a 35% in the money number. But this one sticks out is on the mare side. She's produced very good turf runners. With collectively, they have 48 starts, and they're winning at a 27% number, with obviously a positive ROI. I like the adding of blinkers. I thought maybe favorite, and then I went, probably 4-1. And finally, I'm going to take number 2, Joyful Applause. I don't think this is going to be a big priced horse. It's been finished the money in the last 3 of its races. It just looks like it needs a trip, and it gets closer and closer and closer. It appears to be improving, and I couldn't leave it off my box it up.
All right. So I really do hope Tom hits his box it up. As I mentioned, he's got some bombs in there. If it hits, it's going to be a nothing else matters for the rest of the day because it will pay for your card. For me in race number 1, I'm going to start with number 5, Shady Road. Did run better fractions last time out, despite the fact that it added a 16th of a mile to that race. Real nice August the 25th. That's my mom's birthday workout, so it was the fastest of 52. Has a real nice maintenance workout since that bullet. Number 7, Intrigue, left arrow horse in its debut, as you saw in the pace worksheet. Decently bet. I'm expecting some improvement in round 2 in its career race. Number 2, Joyful Applause, has been close in its last 3, so maybe one that likes to hang. Can run from the front or a little bit off the pace, so it might give it a race shape advantage. And then finally, number 11 is Poruni. I don't know. It is the lone pressure closer horse in the field, so it's one that can be forwardly paced if the race is too slow. And if it's too fast, it can hang out, be patient, and run at the end. This one should improve in its 3rd race off the bench and 2 good works of 3 since that last effort. Race number 2. Good morning, Muhammad, by the way. Race 2 is another one of these 1 mile races on the turf course, as we mentioned. Surprisingly, at the Kentucky Downs at the mile, horses that were in the first 3 won their fair share of races, 3 of which went wire to wire. A little bit of a bonus on the rail, 2 and 3, and not so much. 4 through 7 is the best. If you wear an 8 or out, once again, you get penalized. Let's go ahead and take a look at the pace worksheet again for race number 2, where we get some significant scratches, I think, here, because the 14 horse, which might have been one of the pace setters, is out. Got the 1 and 1A, who I didn't think were going to factor. I did expect the 10 horse to factor in my picks. Again, we see some left arrow horses in here with the 3 horse and the 7 horse. 7 horse catching the 0-1, meaning it has the best early pace and late pace combination. And over here on the 8, one of the 2 pressure horses, so in a field that everybody wants to be in the back, does have the plus late pace advantage. So if he's sitting close to the pace at the end of the race, has the late legs to run by all of them at the end. Mr. Tom, do we agree on 1 horse? Yes, the 6 horse. So far, we've agreed on.
Which is going to be my top choice.
3 out of 8 so far.
Yeah. Oscar Award is my top choice. Far back early in its last race, 12th, moved to the 5th at the top of the stretch, and then finished 3rd. Switches to that 1 turn mile, which I think will help it. Trainer's done very well with 2-year-olds lately. He has 52 starters and 20. They're winning at a 23% rate. And the sire is also doing very well too. He's winning he has 31 starts, I should say, 16% of 1 and 35% in the money. I looked at the last race in review, and I really thought it was a nice choice to put this one on top. With that, I went with number 12, Caballero Feliz.
Happy horse, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. I hope so.
Mm-hmm.
If I run happy, so that would make sense, right?
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think Caballero means horse in Spanish, and Feliz is happy. So, yeah, Caballo Feliz. Yep, happy horse.
Step slow out of the gate. Its first start. Went a little wide, moved up, ran 4th. It was back by a little bit, and then by a little over 4 lengths. Again, that's one of those needed to start. And, yep, works are consistent, but nothing special. I really, off the last, I like him for the in the money. He's going to get another wide trip and a little less distance of going a mile, so that will be interesting. On the sire, it's run happy. He's not produced much in the way of turf horses yet. We'll see. The mare was a winner, and her other offspring was a winner. And interesting enough, the other offspring is by Run Happy. And won on the dirt. It's the first. I like the first attempt, and that's why I put it in. Finally, I took number 11, Ballesteros, first-time starter with, I think, 5 really good works at Gulfstream. The sires produced a lot of turf runners, and they're very good. The dam has produced 8 foals. She has 4 winners, and guess what they like?
The grass.
Turf.
Do they like to run up hills and around corners and all kinds of other crazy stuff too?
Well, one won at the first start, but I didn't find the track where they won. One thing I did find interesting is that all her foals are male, which I don't think I've ever seen.
No, probably not.
Well, take a price. Looks interesting. Why not?
All right. So Muhammad asks in race number 2 why I didn't take the 4 horse, or Thomas for that matter, Baytown Beaver with its pedigree, because the horse has 2 races and was 53-1 in the first bet, 106-1 in the second bet. And when you look at those 2 races, didn't improve from race 1 to race 2. It did improve a little bit early on, but hasn't been within 12 lengths of the winner at the finish line. So I'm going to want to see some improvement out of a horse like that before I go ahead. I call those never close horses. And when I see a horse that's never close, I know it's only been 2 races and anything could happen, but I want to see some signs of life out of a horse. Maybe a little bit of improvement in the first half of its last race could be an indication of that, but not enough for me to make that leap. For me in race number 2, I'm going to start with number 2, Decanted. This is our good friend Chris Parmalu, his angle. Maiden that finished second last time out was at Kentucky Downs too, so I think he might like the track. And today gets an upgrade to Thomas's favorite turf rider, Irad Ortiz. At least on the European style turf courses anyway. Race number 7, 10 days later, is the left arrow horse, as we pointed out in the pace worksheet. Along with that early pace, does have the best combination of early pace and late pace. That combined to be the top last rate speed figure last time. The only question is, will he like grass? We'll find out in just a little bit. Number 6, Oscar Award, rallied hard in its debut after a pretty slow start. A 3 furlong bullet workout since then. That tells me that trainer Kenneth McPeak wants to get this horse out of the gate a little bit quicker, so be more forwardly placed than the debut. If that happens, look out. Finally, number 8, Sherlock's Jewel does have a plus late pace advantage. Likely gets better in race number 2. And if he's close in the stretch, can use those late legs. Look out. He's going to run right by them all. Yeah, race 3.
Going uphill.
Yeah, I mean, well, those late legs really come in handy uphill. But a lot of them you see in these races at Kentucky Downs as they're coming down the stretch, man, they're getting wobbly for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And they're not keeping a straight course. You can get your ears to keep a straight course. I think you're making up ground, you got a much better chance of winning than ones that are going all over the place.
Yes, a lot of them do look like those old Novas on the highway that we used to drive sideways, if you remember that, Tom, for sure. So race 3 is 7 furlongs, a little bit different distance than the first 2, which were a mile. They don't run a whole lot of 7 furlong races, only 5 of them so far. 3 were won from off the pace, but the other 2, Tom, interestingly, what did they do?
Didn't pay well.
Well, they went wire to wire. So it's either get to the lead and get going or come from off the pace. None of them won from the rail. 2 and 3 didn't do very well either. 4 through 7 gets a bonus, and 8 and out were fair. So Tom's like, screw the pace, screw the track bias. I'm going to go with number 2 as my top choice. As soon as my mouse cooperates, I'll go ahead and pull up the pace worksheet, because my mouse does not want to cooperate right now. So in race number 3, this is what the pace worksheet looks like. You can see again here, we get a scratch I feel like was kind of important. Again, the 14 was a left arrow horse that had a lot of early pace advantage over everybody else. That opens up the door for the 11 now to be the pace setter in a race, as you can see very clearly as you look at these horses and how they have won races in the past. All of them want to be more towards the back. So this really might be a pace advantage for the 11 horse. Tom likes some 11s throughout the course of the day, but it doesn't look like, well, he does have it in race number 3. So glad to see that, Tom.
I do. And with that, I took, against bias, I took number 2 in my top choice. Tro Barrett. I don't know.
Something. It's number 2.
Yeah, that's number 2. Not much last out at Colonial. Saved ground. Just an even race. In April and May, it tried some stakes company and really never threatened. Fairgrounds, it won 2 in a row, 5.5 furlong turf races. One good work, 47 and 8 breezing. I liked it, and there were some other good works in that. Trainer is done rather well lately with short horses off of short breaks. He's winning at a 20% clip, positive ROI, and he in the claiming ranks, he's doing 19% win rate. So, yes, it's the bias says there's no way a 2 horse is going to win, but I'm going to give it a chance. Number 11, Sister Annie is my next choice. Was claimed for 40 out in Ellis. The comment I read about the race was said very keen, ran to the lead and didn't finish. Well, that's needs some adjustments. Well, they added blinkers. They've tried it twice before with this horse, but this, of course, different owner, and ran second and a fifth, and it was a close-up fifth. This one's going to be on the lead, in my opinion.
Well, that's what the pace work sheet says.
I think it could be very interesting. The question is, can Ralph Bejarano hold on to this one for the lead? And if it does, you may get a little bit of a price. I don't think he'll get a big price. Finally, I took number 12, Champagne Ivy, as my next final choice. Nothing in the last race at Saratoga, but it was a 1.5-mile race, and it was a 62.5 optional claimer. She won her maiden at Gulfstream, going a mile on the turf. Where she's had successes is on the all-weather at Gulfstream, where she has a win and a second. They placed her in stakes races, and she hasn't done anything in those. But the record suggests that she can run in the money. And the reason I say that is 11 times starters, only 1 win, but 3 seconds and 3/3. I think the outside post may help this horse.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm going to have to put it in the money.
I'm going to start with number 6, like you. No, you don't have the 6 horse in here.
I don't have
I have it. Lashara should be better in the 3rd race off the bench. Is coming out of a non-graded stakes for $75,000. So a little bit of a drop here. Maybe not. It's tough to say.
Not really, because look at the purse.
Yes, but still compared to what
it's double that last race.
Well, compared to what some of these others were running against, it's a little bit of a drop, it looks like to me. Has 3 consecutive speed figure increases, so we'll be looking to make it 4 better races in a row. Number 3, Sarah Mia, first-time starter with the friend of the show, Robertino Diodoro. My man Robertino wins at 24% the first time around the track with a new horse. The horse does have the top late pace in the field and the top early pace late combination. But what I like about Robertino, a lot of times I've noticed when he has a first horse, the horse tends to move forward relative to how it ran before. So I think the 3 horse is probably going to be closer than maybe what the PPs have to say. Number 11, Sister Annie. I mentioned if the 14 did not get in, does become the pace setter in here. First off, the claim for trainer Eddie Kennelly, which is a 21% angle for Eddie K. Then finally, number 2, Troberetz, maybe, did some of her best work when jockey Jared Loveberry was on board. So today, Jareth gets back onto the horse, so I'm expecting to see the horse respond well to the jockey that she's run the best for. Race number 4 is I think this one's a maiden race, Thomas, if I remember correctly, because I don't have a pace worksheet. Yes, 6.5 furlongs on the turf, $150,000. Don't have the pace worksheet because, again, a lot of maidens, half the field didn't run, so kind of tough to gauge what they're going to do. 16 races at today's distance, half of which were won by speed. The other half were won by closers. Only one win from the rail. The 2 and 3 have played fair. 4 through 7 produced 3 winners. 8 and out have been the best. Thomas, walk us through what you think is going to happen in race number 4 with all these babies.
With that, I took number 6, Julia Chardonnay. 2 tries at 4.5 furlongs on the dirt at Keeneland, one was, and the other one was at Churchill. They're okay, but not great. Takes a break, works 36 and 6, works 36 and 4 for this race. The sire is a good producer of, well, they run on all surfaces, frankly. Mm-hmm. The mare won 4 races. They were all on the turf. She raced in the United States and in France, and her going was generally where she won was 7 furlongs or more. So it's probably right in there. I think it's an interesting choice, and yes, I am looking for a price. 12, Kate's Concerto is my next choice. Its works are okay. It's been working up for the first start. It's one of those, you look at the numbers, and the sire in running with its turf runnings, it got 23% win from 26 starts and 23% first time in maiden special weights. That stuck out. Then when I looked at the mare side of this, she was a turf runner. Her foals have won on the turf, and they've been in stakes races, and he got 10 foals and 6 winners. So the family looks like it's produced winners in the past, and this one looks like it may be a winner too.
Kind of like the Suter family in hockey.
Yeah. Finally, I took number 8, Ardozzi, my final choice. Works are okay for the first race. Trainer's been hitting at a 12% rate. He's only got 17 starts for his 2-year-olds, and then with that, his turf runners are going at a 13% win rate, and 35% with first-time starters in the money. While the sire was a champion turf horse, be very nice. His are running at a 13% rate from 45 starts, with an in the money percentage of 38%. The mare didn't race, but her 2 foals both have won, but not on the turf.
I have to say, Tom, after listening to your first 2 picks, I think this is like the Tom personality or the Tom social Tom race, because you have Chardonnay and a Concerto. So Tom to a T, baby. All right. Number 4 for me in race number 4. I'm going to start with the 10. Again, with these first-time starters races versus experienced horses, it's just been my experience to put them in the buckets and then pick out of the buckets that you like. So you put all the first-time starters in one bucket, all the experienced horses in the other bucket. And if you feel like there's nothing that stands out from the experienced horses, you head on over to the bucket of first-time starters. That's essentially what I did. I started off with number 10, Igazu. So Wesley Ward, first-time starter. You got to have Wesley Ward first-time starters in your picks. The dude wins at 29%. He might be the best trainer on the planet for 2-year-olds making their first start. Number 5, Twirled, is a $360,000 horse. So somebody bucked up for this one. Thought enough of it to give it to trainer Steve Asmussen, who thought enough to put Joel Rosari on the horse. Some decent works getting ready, although I'm not a fan of there was like a break in its routine from August 8th to August 27th. So I wonder if maybe something went wrong there, got sick, got hurt. But that last workout of 2 before this race was really sharp. Number 4, Fame Street, is the only non-first-time starter I'm going to put in here, the only horse with experience. Trainer Brett Calhoun has won 5 of 16. So if you remember from math class, 31%, we'll go with that. For the second starts on the grass, and the first one was okay. Last time out being 5 wide hurt the horse probably. So today I think a little bit closer in should help out. And finally, your Kate's Concerto, another first-time starter in this mix for me. Again, one of the most solid jockey trainer combinations in Brad Cox and Florent Gourou. This one does have some very good workouts. And as you mentioned, going through the pedigree lineage of this horse, it does rank out as the horse with the best pedigree, Tom, for the distance and surface. So Good work there, my man. Race number 5 is 1 mile on the turf. This one is a handicap for $180,000. We've mentioned a mile on the turf so far. Surprisingly, Speed has done well, winning 11 of 18 races, 3 of which went wire to wire. There's a little bit of a rail bonus, 2 and 3, a little bit of a penalty. If you wear a 4 through 7, that's the best you can wear. 8 and out, fair. We go back to the pace worksheet for race number 5, excuse me. So many horses that I couldn't fit it all on one page, Tom. Again, we see another. I don't want that one. I want this one. We see another scratch that could have some significance here with the 11. The 12. All these horses that are boxed off means they should get a pace that they're comfortable with, the kind of pace that they like when they run their race, so to speak. 1A is out. The 5 did have some late pacing here. We do see one of Tom's new favorite things, the left arrow horse, the 8 horse, one that typically closes, but his early pace figure suggests he's probably going to be right in here somewhere competing with these guys and does have some solid late run to boot. This race, Tom, in race number 5 is also your best bet. Tell me why the 6 horse is the one in this crazy card of all of the hundreds of horses in here is the one to win.
Well, because number 6 accredited raced at Kentucky Downs September 1st and ran a nice third in an allowance race. And that stuck out because this was the first run since October of 2021. Ooh. So they're bringing her back. And had issues in that race, but really a good effort, I thought, off the layoff. It's been running in minor stakes races. It's an allowance winner. So a little bit, it runs at a decent level. And the turf record is 6 starts, 3 wins, a second, and a third. I think the open handicap race fits this horse based on it. I think that needed that first race and no trouble, it wins. Number 8, Dukes of Hazzard, is my next choice.
Did you used to watch that show, Thomas?
No, I did not.
No, I remember Friday nights, Dukes of Hazzard, and we would watch it and then afterwards go skiing over at Camelback Mountain in the Poconos.
Well.
There's nothing wrong with little Daisy and Daisy Duke shorts, my friend.
No, I'm not saying there is, but it was never. I'm not a car person, so that would probably account for part of it.
Oh, I thought the show was about Daisy Duke. I didn't realize it was about the car.
Well, they're jumping.
When you're 18, 17, that's kind of what's on your mind.
Yeah,
but anyway, go ahead.
That's what you get off on. Mm-hmm. Whatever. I ran okay at Saratoga in a restricted stakes race with issues. Placed second in a 10K race at Belmont. In between there, it went to Indiana, and not one of its better efforts. Previously, it raced in Europe, and it did win a group race at Goodwood. My problem with putting it on top is it hasn't won since 2019. Does show some speed. Ideal trip for it, really, though, is to sit behind the leaders and then make a move. Hopefully, it'll have a better trip than it did last time out and hit the board. Finally, I'm taking Field Pass number 9 as my final choice. I tossed the grade 1 race last out. Showed early and then showed nothing. The best way to describe it. It's both of the grade 1 stakes that it's tried. It's been finished out of the money. But in the other 3 races, it's run well in the money. It's got a grade 3 on the resume and a couple minor stakes. Again, not winning yet, but has won a grade 2 in the past at Del Mar. And the way it does win is she appears to likes to lay close to that lead. But hasn't won yet, so I can't put him on top.
A little bit of backlash, though, Tom says. All right.
But you gotta have more than that for Kentucky Downs.
Indeed. Well, you better have a good race in you too. So I mentioned that is your best bet today. If you want the play of the day, head on over to Picks with the Professor. There's a link down there in the description here on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, wherever it is that you keep track of us. Right now, you're probably watching on Facebook or YouTube. While you're there, please thumbs up. We appreciate that from Mr. Jimmy Little. Also on YouTube. The more thumbs up we get, the higher up in the algorithms we go. We appreciate that. It's one of the ways you can support the show. Make sure you hit the subscribe button as well if you haven't done so far. Head on over to the parlay of the day today. Free parlays of the day. Looks like today is going to go with the Chicago White Sox and under 9.5 in that game, plus 105 on DraftKings. You can see all of the professor's picks for the Major League Baseball and then also for college football. Also has, he's got like 3 of them here. So he's also got the Mariners plus 1.5, under 8.5 for plus 125. And then, a trio of picks, man. It's like the Kentucky Downs of baseball, Thomas. Then he's got the Rays plus 1.5 and under 9.5 for 105 as well on DraftKings. So check all of that out with the picks with the professor on Friday night if you like to do some sports betting as well, NFL. Sean, Jared, and myself will be back at 10 p.m. Eastern to cover the NFL. I'll be licking my wounds. Started off the first week 2-5, ugly. Better than 1-6, though, so I can recover with a pretty solid week number 2 in the NFL. Hopefully, Rich can do that.
As long as you don't go over.
Yeah, I mean, offers are tough to come back from, Thomas, to be honest with you, for sure. All right, so to continue on, for me in race number 5, that was Tom's best bet for me in race 5. I also like the 6 horse as my first choice. That horse is number 6, A Credit. Was better, made a real big move in the middle of its last race. And that was, as you mentioned, the first start in almost a year in the bench. I think it was only like 5 days short of being out for a year. I think you're going to see this horse improve a lot in race number 2. And I do like the fact that the horse made that big mid move. It's a lot of times, remember the old timers used to tell me all the time, pay attention to the mid move, pay attention to the mid move, especially in sprints around the turn. Number 9, Field Pass. Flips around after running on the 10th. So that horse is coming back real fast. 4 days?
Yeah.
Trainer Michael Maker must have seen something in there that gave him the confidence to turn the horse around that quickly. He's only done it once before where he turned a horse around that fast this year. And that horse did what, Tom?
Won.
It won. Number 8, Dukes of Hazzard. Not Tom's favorite show for sure, but it is a left arrow horse, becoming quickly one of his favorite handicapping angles. Last race got off to just a brutal start and then rallied pretty hard. I think all he'll need is to get off to a little bit of quicker start and should be competitive in this spot. And then finally, number 11, Tut's Revenge. I think this one's going to be forwardly placed in a race that is, as we showed on the pace worksheet, dominated by pressure and closer types. And along with having some early speed, the horse does also own some of the best late pace figures. And this, Tom, is the early pick 5. I don't think the pick 5s have been, you know what, Tom? I'm still mad about last week's pick 5. If you didn't wear this last week.
Yeah, that was my best bet of the day, too.
My top choice won 4 out of the 5 races. Mm-hmm. The race that I did not win, my second choice won, but I singled my top choice. And like Tom was mentioning, coming down the lane, my top choice was doing the Nova, the Chevy, like the 1979 Chevy Nova, running sideways and then flipping that way. And the other horse went straight and barely got him. And Irad blew the turn a little bit, and then Joel was able to hug the rail, made up about a length and a half on that turn. And that was the difference in the race. Hopefully today we don't have such misfortune, Thomas.
Yeah. And how much money did it cost us?
Too much.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was like, that one, I think it was like a $2,500 pick 4, right?
Yeah.
Pick 5. Yeah. So the neck cost $2,500. Crazy. Hopefully some folks out there did better ticket construction than Rich did and included the 5 horse in that spot because it was really a 2 horse race. Today, Tom has a single in the last leg. Our ticket structure is completely the same, except I added a second choice at the end, just in case. That turnaround time from Michael Maker was enough to convince me to add that one in there. Otherwise, we go 3-3-3-3 all the way down, and I don't think there's any chance in hell that we can both win. So it's all or nothing between you and I.
Yeah, we're all over the place with picks.
As I think probably most handicappers are at Kentucky Downs.
It wouldn't be Kentucky Downs.
No, it's like those European races with 1,000 horses in it. And we'll be doing some Foreign Fridays this Friday, Tom, with some good fields too. Some really good races. What are we going to be doing?
We're going to Down and Under. We're going to go to Caulfield for some of the group racing action. It'll be a group 1 and a couple group 2s and a couple group 3s. And these are some of these are preludes to their Guineas races that will be coming up soon. And we haven't visited there in a while because they were on not hiatus, but the bigger numbers are starting to come in, and the big races like the Everest and the Melbourne Cup are coming up. So we got to take a quick look at those because those are big fields and nice numbers.
And we have to sharpen our Australian saws. That will be this Friday at 12 o'clock Central, 1 o'clock Eastern. And those races, I think, are Friday night to Saturday morning, correct?
That is correct.
So insomnia racing for all of the Tom like bettors out there that are up. I get emails from Tom like 2 a.m, 4 a.m, 5 a.m. I'm like, dude, do you sleep? All right. Anyway, race number 6 as we progress along on this Kentucky Downs card. 6.5 furlongs on the turf. That's an allowance for $160,000. Do we see 6.5 furlongs already, Tom? I'm not sure. We did 16 races, half of which won by speed. The other half won from off the pace, 3 of which went wire to wire. It looks like the inside 3, there's a little bit of a penalty to where the 1, 2, and 3 have been fair. 4 through 7 have produced some winners. 8 and out have been best. As far as I'm concerned, looking at this race, I put in my notes, this is a really tough race to call. I had a hard time actually making some picks in race number 6. Looking at the pace worksheet kind of helped me out a little bit, maybe, but not a lot because there's really not a lot in here squared off. Got all the also eligible scratched out, so it doesn't really impact the race. The 5 horse should be your pace setter. Does have a plus early pace edge. Does kind of have a little bit tires a little bit towards the end. 10 horse should get a really nice trip out of this group right here. The 6 horse now takes over as the horse with the most late pace, with the 16 not making it in the race. 7 moves into the 2 spot. So it should be a pretty, I think, as I wrote, this one is why. Oh, hold on, let me put this on the screen. As you can see, these 5 horse gets the plus early pace. You can see all these horses scratched out. There's really not a lot of horses that aren't going to get the trip that they want, Tom. I think this one's really hard. Do you think this one's really hard?
Oh, yeah. But then I think most of these races are really hard.
But I feel like of all the races on the card, this is the one I have like the least, it's probably the one I'm going to win, like straight in order. But it's the one that I was like, you know what, I can pick any one of these horses and probably make a case.
I had 8 to go through to cut it down to 3. And with that, I took number 12, Trust Daddy, as my top choice. Last 2 races were on the all-weather at Gulfstream, and they were average efforts. And one of them, they had some trouble, and the other one just faded away at the end is the best way to describe it. Last season, it ran better. It had a 2nd at Belmont, 8th at Aqueduct, and those were in some $100,000 minor stakes races. Today, I'm picking it because they're adding blinkers. It does have some speed, and I like that one workout. One sticks out at 35-1, breezing, and then 6 days later they put a maintenance work in. So, yep, price definitely. Number 10, Favorite Outlaw is my next choice. In the money, and all its 5 starts. It has a win, 3 seconds, and a third. And these have been at good tracks. Problems, it's never run on the turf before. So, got to go back and look at a little pedigree. Sire's done very well with turf horses overall. The mare was a stakes winner on the turf, and her foals have done well on the turf. She's got, they've won. Well, they've done okay. I mean, they're and good enough for me to put it in there because of its record and the way it's been running. I think you got to include it. With that, I took 8 St. Andrews as my final choice. There's only one turf try. It showed speed and then backed up a little bit and finished 4th. But that was at 1 1/8 going. I think it's got some speed in here and some pace. And I think the shorter distance makes much more sense to me. One on the dirt at Fairgrounds at 6 furlongs. It moved a nice turf race at Ellis going 1 mile. They got moved to the mud. It was a mud track, but it still finished 2nd. Maybe it likes that mud. And then they got silly and sent it to FanDuel and Illinois track for the St. Louis Derby. And yeah, it didn't do a damn thing. With that, Mike Maker, he's been doing very well at Kentucky Downs. So that's why I put him in.
All right, so I'm going to go with number 5. As we saw on the pace worksheet, does have a plus early pace advantage and is this close to being undefeated in 2 races on the grass. For me, the only question is, can she make it 6.5 furlongs on the lead? Because I think the longest she's run is 6 furlongs. Number 4, too many Twizzlers. That can make for a headache, probably, but horse has always been pretty well bet. I think this one's going to be closing into the pack. It's all in the start for this horse. It's run 3 times and has not gotten a clean break in any single one of them. So they're going to put Irad, I think, up on the horse today to see if maybe it can get out of the gate a little bit better. If Irad can get this horse to break sharply, I think this is the one horse in this field that might be able to add some clarity and make easy work of the rest. Number 10, Favorite Outlaw, going to try grass for the first time, as you mentioned. But Steve Asmussen, as great as he is, only 12% winner in the first time around turf kind of thing. I do like the fact that the horse ran better fractions last out. And then finally, number 1, Sousa Summer won his last race. And the past performances say that this horse will be even better in the classic third start after a layoff. Race number 7. It is 6.5 furlongs, a turf maiden, $150,000. As we mentioned in the previous race, half the race is won by speed, the other half by horses that come from off the pace, only 3 of which took them from gate to wire. There does seem to be a rail penalty. 2 and 3 have played fair. 4 through 7 have produced a fair amount of winners as well. Played the par. 8 and out has been the best. We again see our pace worksheet for race number 7. Some scratches in here again that are some probably not impactful. A 10 horse that was never close. 14, which was also eligible. The 1 and the 4 typically want a pace that puts them closer to the front. Unfortunately, we're actually on the lead. Fortunately, they're probably not going to get it because the 6 horse and the 8 horse are probably going to find themselves closer to the front with the left arrow horses. And this guy also has some late pace to him as the top late pace horse in the field. Because of all that, Thomas, I'm going to make the 8 horse my long shot of the day. That is Fiddle. And again, this is a Chris P. angle in this maiden race. Finished second last time out and gets first time Lasix. So I love that first time Lasix with a horse that has early pace. And add to it, the horse is carrying less weight than a lot of others in here. Early speed, first Lasix, light jockey. I think this one upsets at 10-1. The 12 horse is a huge favorite in here, Tom. So you don't have that one either, thankfully.
I don't have it. So with that, I took the other left arrow horse, which is number 6, Amaryllis Kiss. Had an awful start in its first start. Then it ran third at Ellis at 6 furlongs, and then it just missed by a head in its last start. The last 2, it's been getting closer and closer and closer. Turf is a question, so got to look at the pedigree. Sire's been okay with turf horses. They win at 14% and a 39% in the money number. The mare was a graded stakes place horse, but she was a dirt horse. This is her first foal, so this one will be interesting. The reason I also like it is I think it's got some form. I like the rider trainer combination, and I hope that form transfers to the turf. With that, number 7, Quadra Comet, my next choice. Tossed the last race. It was in April at Keeneland. Blew the start, bumped, forget it. First start, just missed in a run at turf away, lost by a nose. Training, it's been working on the training track, and they've been good. And good enough for me to pick it for second. Sire's been okay with turf horses, 11% winners, 34% in the money. The mare raced in Brazil. She raced 11 times and won 8 races, and some of those were stakes. And this is also her first foal. Finally, I took number 4, Rosalita, my final choice. Led in the last race, but didn't finish. Lost by a neck. But she had some issues in that race, which was really curious. Of what she did a little bit of greenness. And that older horse, that's kind of a little bit of a surprise. This time, it was the first time they put her on the lead. because in the past 3 races, she's been either near the pace or in the back. So a little different strategy to see if they can get a win. Sire's a little above average with turf horses. The mare, on the other hand, has 10 foals, 6 winners, and they've won on the turf. The trainer numbers are interesting. Moving from a route to a sprint, he's got a 22% rate of win and 67% in the money. And I don't see getting 6-1 on this one for the morning line. I think it'll be shorter.
So I have, as I mentioned, Fiddle as my top choice in here. My second one is the favorite. Yeah, that is going to be point well taken. Another Chris Parmalu angle. Just missed at this level. And it's at Kentucky Downs last out was the favorite. Trainer Claude McGahee does rebound the next time around the track with a beaten favorite at 19%. So not a bad number there. Alpha angle. A Maryless Kiss is another left arrow horse, as Tom noted. Improved in each start after its debut. It's going to try grass for the first time, but I'm expecting to see this horse, as we talked about a few races ago, make a huge move in the middle coming out of that turn, putting the horse in position to capitalize late. Number 7, Cuera Comet, had way too much trouble in its last, so we're going to toss that one out. The debut was on all weather, which included a very strong rally late in the race. So I expect this horse will show up at the end. Will it win? Nah. But can it hit the board? Absolutely. And I think this one is likely to be a bomb. So if the 12 horse comes in and maybe the 8 or the 12 or the 7 or the 6 comes around it, could make for a nice payout, even though you get a lot of big favorites in there. Or maybe even though the 12 would win at a good price. The 8 horse is the 8th race is Tom's long shot. So an opportunity to go daily double long shots between Tom and I. It is the 3rd race in a row, 6.5 furlongs, as we said, evenly split between horses that go fast, horses that like to come from off the pace. And in race number 8, we have our pace worksheet here as the second sheet, because like I said, there's so many races today, so many horses. I couldn't fit them all on one page. Some scratches in here that I think changed the shape of this race a little bit. Because a lot of the horses that might have added to the pace to put a little pressure on this 7, who does have a early pace advantage over the rest, are kind of out. The 2 horse is a left arrow horse, one that typically likes to close, but probably going to move all the way up in here. Some others that scratched out include the 4 and the 15. The 8 horse, one of the closers, does have a plus late pace advantage, meaning he scored at least 5 points higher in the way I calculate these things versus any other horse. So if it's within a length with about a quarter of a mile to go, an eighth of a mile to go, has enough giddy up and go to get by all of them. Tom, let's fill out the back half of this long shot daily double.
Okay, with that, I'm taking 6, Cloudy. Won its last 2 races on the turf, and it is undefeated on the turf. Those were at a mile, one at Indiana and one at Ellis. I don't think the 6.5 furlong one turn should be an issue at all. Got a 36 breezing work at Churchill, so I think there's form. And where it was an average horse in the dirt, it seems to be a very improving horse on the turf, and this looks like a nice spot for it. Number 7, Lyrical Poet is my next choice. I think this one's the speed of the race. Ran second last year at Kentucky Downs in an allowance race at this distance. In that race, the 3rd call was a bit fast. It was 108.9.
That's quick.
That's quick. So I think a little more better handling. This horse should hit the board. Finally, I took that 8, that closer you liked. He ran 3rd at Kentucky Downs September 1st in a stakes race. They're going to drop it in here, and they have to put it in for the claiming price because it doesn't qualify otherwise. It was claimed. They claimed it at Del Mar, where it ran 2nd, and now I wonder what was the target. Was that stakes race the target where it finished 3rd, or was it this race? And very competitive. On the turf, 23 runs, 9 wins, 2 seconds, and 4 thirds. Mm-hmm. And I can't leave it off my ticket.
I can't leave it off my box it up either, Thomas. I have this is my box it up in race number 8. I mentioned, well, you mentioned that you have the 6-horse. I hope it doesn't beat me in here, Thomas, your long shot. But if we go long shot, daily double, it'll be another one of those where nothing else matters. I have number 7, Lyrical Poet, as I mentioned, is a plus early pace advantage horse, especially since the 16 did not get in. Was the favorite last out for trainer Wesley Ward, who comes back after being defeated as chalk to win a hefty 31% of the time. That's a pretty good number. And number 8, Shadow Sphinx has a plus late pace advantage. As you mentioned, Tom, is coming down in class. And I think this horse is going to be a big time factor late. There's no question the race caller will be calling his name because in 8 of its last 10 races, horse made up ground and usually a lot of ground in the stretch. Number 1, Evan Singh, really consistent performer so far. I think in about 4 or 5 career starts in its race history. And it's one that can win from the mid pack. So it can be a little bit forwardly placed in a race full of closers and then can actually close as well. Number 10, Summer Assault, has the second best late pace numbers in the field and is training, I think, pretty well for its first race since the middle part of July. Maybe I should switch out the 10 for the 6, Tom's long shot in there. Or maybe if you're boxing it up, you might think about doing that as well. Race 9 is my best bet, Tom, and race number 9 is 1 mile. We go back to 1 mile on the turf. As we started out the show talking about 1 mile on the turf, 18 races, 11 won by horses that were in the first 3 at the first call. A trio went wire to wire. Is a little bit of a bonus to where the number 1, 2 through 3 get a little bit of a penalty. 4 through 7 is best. 8 and out again can be a little bit of a drag. Our pace worksheet for race number 9, we see that the 6-horse, one that got scratched that would have definitely impacted the race because that was going to be your pace setter. Now it's going to be a pretty even match between the 5 and the 10. Got a lot of horses in this race that do want to sit closer to the back than the front. So I do think it could give a little bit of an advantage to horses that like to be forward. The 3-horse as a pressure horse probably does have a good advantage because it does have that place late, that late pace advantage. Not going to be all that far off the pace, Tom. But my best bet in this race goes to number 2. That horse is the really good. So I'm hoping he'll be really good today. Won the debut at the top last race speed figure, made a steady advance from the beginning to the stretch, and then just said, sayonara, everybody. I'm going to go to the finish line. I expect to see a similar looking race today, Tom. What do you say for race number 9?
Well, I have to say this is the strangest race that I played of all the races. And the reason why is all the 3 horses I picked have not won yet.
So pretty adventurous handicapping, I'd say.
Yeah. Number 8, Reckoning Force, is my top choice. 3 starts, 2/3, and a 4th at Saratoga. The other races were in Ireland. Last race, it bobbled at the start. The trainer has not won in the United States yet, but he does running a 40% in the money number. So got to think about that one very strongly. 4, King Ice is my next choice. First race, it ran a 5th. It was backed by about 6 lengths at Indiana. It did that 7.5 furlong type race. So now it switches to 1 turn, 1 mile. I'm going to say, can you say green? That last race? Yeah, I think so. 59 and 4 breezing work. And that's frankly one of the best works of this bunch. And that's why I thought this one had a chance. Finally, number 9, Laver, is my final choice. First start at Ellis, it was bumped, but still was able to run second. It's got some great works coming into this. But like the rest of my picks, it hasn't won yet. So, little outside post, maybe help a little better trip. If it does, I think it's going to hit the board.
Little gambler's fallacy. They're all do, right? Wendy Lopez, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate that. So where can you watch the races live? Well, is Kentucky Downs like on NBC, Fox Sports?
That's a FanDuel.
But is that on what used to be TVG?
Yeah.
So you can watch it on TV on TVG if you have that. If you don't have that in your cable subscription, you can open up an account with like Twin Spires or FanDuel, I suppose. You can also open one up with Twin Spires, bet all the different horse racing accounts. And I wouldn't recommend Nine Rub because I didn't have a good experience with them. Yours might be different, but mine was not a good experience. So any of those horse racing websites like TVG, Twin Spires, there are others. They also have the races live, so you can watch them there, Wendy. You can also get a subscription to another company that we won't tell you about because they weren't friendly when I talked to them about the possibly sponsoring us. So I mentioned why in race number 9, the
with that, we're 5 minutes away to the first race.
Okay, so we'll go through this and then recap the early stuff quick. So Castle Rock ships in from Del Mar, won the first race on turf with ease after trying dirt in the first 2. It does have the top early pace and late pace combinations in this field. Number 1, Mayfield Strong, one of the few distances where the rail has done very well. Tough call over the 8 for me, but with the scratch, it wasn't such a tough call anymore. I do think this one improved a lot in its second race on turf compared to its debut on dirt. So I think you'll see more of that. Finally, number 8, Reckoning Force did tie for the top last race speed figure. Much better late. But the thing that concerns me about the 8 horse in here, despite that looked like an improved run on the ground in that last race, was the fact that its fractions and its times were actually noticeably slower, which is never really a fan favorite of mine. All right, so looking at the early races, as Tom mentioned, race number 1, you can see all of our picks for races 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Importantly, it is Tom's box it up. So again, he likes the 9, the 8, the 5, and the 2. Right now, the 9 horse is 5-1, got that bet down. The 8 horse is 16-1. The 5 horse going to go off at 5-1. And the 2 horse looks like it's the really lukewarm favorite at 3-1. Additionally, it is the early pick 5 for Tom and I. So we went 3 by 3 by 3 by 3 by 2 by 1. I went by 2 at the end. So that's the early races and how we stack them up in terms of our important tickets. So we wanted to make sure we make a note of that right before race 1 gets started, as Tom mentioned.
And that number 5 race is my best bet of the day.
Yes, indeed. Race number 5, the 6 horse. Indeed. So we just did race number 9. Now we're going to do race number 10 as we try to muscle our way through this card. Again, 1 mile. We've talked about the 1 mile profile of a winner countless times. Does favor a little bit of speed. Does give the inside a little bit of an advantage. Here we see some scratches in these stakes races, right? I forgot to mention races, I think 9, 10, and 11 are all the closing stake races today. 7 horse scratched out, 14 scratched out. A couple of other horses get in as a result. The 3 horse, which is a bomb, should be your pace setter and has a double plus early pace advantage at 2 furlongs, at 4 furlongs, at 6 furlongs. 20-1 horse in there, Tom. Morning line. So what do you think happens here?
I went with number 8. My top choice, St. Anthony, tried grade 2 company at Del Mar last out, and frankly wasn't much of any type of race. It's won twice. They were both at Golden Gate. One was on the all-weather, one was on the turf. 2 races back, they shipped it up to Santa Rosa. Went off as the favorite and surged at the end and looked good. And that's one of Terry's, of course, favorite tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And I found this interesting. This is Neil Drysdale trained horse, and this is his only runner here. So there's been an up and down horse, but I'm thinking, maybe we'll go up. 12, American Mayhem is my next choice. This horse is 2 for 2 on the turf, and both those races were at Ellison. Both were at 1 mile. Maiden race, he came from the clouds to win. And the last race, he was on the pace to win. What's he going to do? I think he'll be back because he's in that 12 hole.
The only thing he did have in common is win.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I would be surprised if this one doesn't go off the favorite. I think it looked very impressive in its 2 races. And, your angle of some, showing some pace, but also versatility where it's done a little bit of both in 2 races. For a young horse, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Number 10, Ice Blast is my final choice. Race 1, I was on the turf at Ellis. It ran a nice second. Was in touch with the leaders really all the way around. It took 4 races to win the maiden, and it did that at Lone Star, which is interesting for me because it's been off since July, and then they put a work in for it went at 1 minute, and it moves up. Yeah, here first try, but I think you got to consider it based on the way it's been running, especially off that first try on the turf.
I'm going to start with number 5, Castle Lioch. Tends to run well off the bench, just like today. Was much better early part of its last race before putting a little bit of time in the barn. Number 6, what is that? Fjord Even Tura, whatever. 3 consecutive speed figure increases. Should be better in race 2 off the bench, which is a 31% winning angle for trainer Jonathan Thomas. But 2 first names, kind of hard to trust that dude. Number 3, if any is going to steal this race, as I mentioned in the pace worksheet, it's going to be the 3. He does have that early pace advantage through 2, 4, and 6 furlongs. Just needs to make it 8 furlongs. So an extra furlong in there, 2 furlongs. Number 4, Play Action Pass. So a horse that's always making a late move, a couple of bullet workouts, getting ready to run for his first race off the bench, and another that typically runs pretty well fresh. Before we move on to race number 11, Tom, it looks like they're heading in. Well, let's do the preview. So race number 11 is 1 mile and 70 yards on the main on the turf course. They've only won one of these races so far. It was won by a speed horse, didn't go wire to wire, left from posts 4 through 7. And then let's look at this first race, Tom, in race number 11, race number 1, before we move on to race number 11. We still have a little bit of time. You think you can make it through your picks real quick, Tom? Because they're all kind of circling in the back still.
I will try.
All right, fire away.
11 is my top choice, Petrichor. Tried grade 2 company last time out at Saratoga, and frankly, it didn't go well, and they pulled up the horse. A little better at Laurel, still didn't win. 3 lengths behind, ran 5th. Churchill ran 4th in a grade 2 group. And the first start in the U.S., it was a winning effort in an allowance race at Keeneland. This horse won twice in France from 4 races and had a second. And to note that these were at major tracks. This is Deauville, Paris-Longchamp, and Chantilly. The pattern of works, I think, is interesting from its last race because they've got 3 of them and they're all on the turf and they're all pretty good. Yeah, this is a Judgment own horse, Villemot train. I got to think there's going to be some improvement off that miserable last race. Number 10, Poca Mucha, my next choice. Won an allowance race last out at Saratoga by length. And had to overcome some problems because they had a little bit of traffic. And it was 8 lengths behind in the middle of the race. It's run good races on the all-weather this winter, and then they gave it a break. I think it has tactical speed, and it has the ability to make up ground. Again, another Bill Mott horse. But this is a step up for it, and we'll see how it can do.
All right.
Finally, number 2, Burning Ambition, my final choice. Returns to the races after being off since October of 2021, where it ran 3rd in a grade 1 at Keeneland. It's a stakes winner in Indiana. It's never been out of the money in its 6 starts, 4 wins, a 2nd and a 3rd. But interesting, the horses' races are really spread apart. So the race, and then they may take a month or 2 off, and then another race. So the works are but got to look at its record, and it's been in top grade company. So got to think really serious about that horse.
So they're coming down the stretch, right? Well, they're coming through the turn right now, Thomas. And right now, the 3 horses on the lead. The 7 horse, or is it the 11? It looks like the 7 is going to try to overcome. Yes, the 7 horse right now has the lead as they're coming up the stretch. It looks like I don't know who's trying to make a run, maybe the 12 at the end, or is that the 9? It's tough to tell. It's the 9 horse. Yes, Tom's 9 on the box. It's between Tom's 9 and my 7. The 9 dip into the rail. Is it going to be the 9? Is it going to be the 7? It is the 7, 9, and 1, it looks like. So the 7 went off at 6-1 for Irad Ortiz. Surprisingly, he didn't have to cut anybody off.
There's always a first time.
Yes, indeed. It was the 9 that went to the rail. So that was a lot of fun. So we've made it here, Thomas, today because the X-rated people are putting their comments up. So that lets you know we're doing good. Thank you for thank you for watching us because it tracks the bots.
Yeah.
All right, for me.
They must think we got good picks.
Indeed, or something.
No,
Race number 11.
I ran second. I can't complain.
No, not with a nice price.
And the rest of them, not so much.
Not so much. So, yeah, and for me, not so much too. But the 7-horse one, so still alive in my pick 5. Hopefully today I can get through the pick 5 because that's a good 6-1. Nice way to start. Number 7, Alms, is my that does have the top late pace in that stakes race and the top early pace, late pace combination as well. Ran really close at the distance, ran 4 times with a trio of thirds in the middle. Seconds, excuse me, not thirds. Does have a bullet workout between races. So that bullet workout says to me that at the distance is gonna go. Number 8, Navratilova, always a very difficult name for me to pronounce. I think this one's likely to get exactly the trip it wants. Did run the top last race, speed figure last out, and has a bullet workout. So I think she'll stay sharp. Number 6, Curly Ruth, has a win on the Kentucky Derby, Kentucky Downs track, coming off the bench just like today. Solid pedigree for the distance and surface. And finally, number 2, Burning Ambition, is the lone pressure horse in a field of horses that do like to close, or a few that want to be in front of it. So he should get the trip he wants. And on turf, so far, 5 races, 3 wins, a second, and a third. And as we close down, Tom, after 1 hour and 6 minutes, race number 12.
we made it to the end.
Woo!
The final race of the season at Kentucky Downs.
Indeed. And this one is a mile, just like we started on the day. Again, you want to be fast. Faster is better than slower, so probably some tactical speed. Looking at the post positions, it does look like the rail's not a penalty, surprisingly. 2 and 3, however, are a penalty. 4 through 7 are the best. 8 and out, you get a little bit of a discount. In race number 11, the final, race number 12, the final pace worksheet of this Kentucky Downs meet, which has actually helped me a lot in terms of picking some horses at this track. You see, this is a very interesting race with all these maidens. So far, none of them have really shown much of an interest in going forward. The 12 horse is the only one that has not been just absolute closer. Got some scratches in here that, I don't know if they're going to make a difference, but a lot of the horses that were also eligibles are out. The 13 probably being the most prominent of which, because it did have the most late pace, meaning the 4 takes over that role. The 5 gets into there. Got a couple of first-time starters with the 3 and the 11, and we're going to have another race here where there's likely to be a heavy favorite. You don't have him. I have him as my top pick. Again, you go 11-11 on your back end. Why do you like Danny White so much?
Number 11 is self-confident. And it's a first starter for the Phipps stable. Trainer does very well with firsters. 16% win and 39% in the money. A mixture of dirt and turf works. And the one that stuck out for me were the gate works. The sire's really one of the best and thrown many, many good turf runners. Mare is a 3 times winner. She's produced 4 foals, and 2 of them are winners. One of them is still in training, Dreams of Tomorrow. He's a 5-year-old, and they are turf runners. Number 9, Navy Goat, is my next choice. It's got 1 start at Monmouth, made a move. It was a little wide. It was the favorite, and it's a learning experience. Yeah, it's got to work since that race, and that was on the turf. Trainer wins at a 30% rate, moving from sprint to route, and a 50% in the money. Joe Rosario is up and just needs a trip, I think. 8, Destined to Race, is my final choice. Moved on the first turn home, then got caught, passed, finished second, 3 1/4 lengths back. It was a short price, but a good effort. It did find problems in running that race. Well, that tells me it needed a start. And again, this is one of those better trip, better timed run. Will hit the board, maybe even win.
All right, so my final set of picks for the Kentucky Derby meet of 2022. I'm going to go with number 4, Letter of Gold, second by a neck in its debut. Chris P. Angle once again coming into play here. That was at Saratoga for a $105,000 purse. So it's actually kind of a step down, which is hard to believe. Number 9, Navy Goat, is a left arrow horse in here. It's going long for the first time, which is a 30% winning angle for trainer Arnaud Delacour. That's a high number for any trainer. Number 11, Self-Confident, does look to me like it should be confident in being the best of the first-time starters and does indeed have some of the best pedigree scores in the field. And finally, the last pick of the day and for Kentucky Downs, number 10, Revenue Train, is another left arrow horse for me. The pace numbers put him forward and benefits maybe from the first time that the horse goes long and goes route, but that's too many questions for me to answer in one race to move the horse any higher than 4th in my picks. It is also, Tom, the hot dog pick 4 for you and I, which is in race 9, 10, 11, and 12. Race, Tom's just going, he's confident, he's self-confident in those 11s, so he's going to put $6 at risk with 3 by 4 by 1 by 1. For me, I'm going to go 3 by 3 by 4. And it's a battle of the singles at the end between the 4 and the 11, Thomas. I'm hoping to catch a price in the first 3. You want prices all the way down the ticket. Hopefully one of us is right, and we can cash some really fat pick 5s and pick 4s today.
Except only one of us will, because your horses are completely different than mine.
Yes, indeed. So let's see how this day plays out. Again, here are our full picks. Again, race number 1 is in the books. If you had taken Tom's 2 first picks and my 2 first picks and put them together in exacta box, 7 was your winner. The 9 was a close second, and a $1 exacta in race number 1. I believe paid $42, something like that, Tom. Yes, the $1 exacta, $49.13. So make sure you take a look at Tom's picks, take a look at my picks, see what you like, maybe put them all together in a ticket, because this is one of those places that if you're right, you do get paid, which is important, I think, when you're betting horses. Again, Tom's best bet is in race number 5. My best bet is in race number 9, which, if you wanted to, can make for an interesting pick 3, because Tom's long shot's in race number 7. My long shot is in my long shot 7. Tom is race number 8. My best bet in race number 9. So you can go long shot, best bet. Hopefully all 3 of us hit, and we have a really nice pick 3 to go home on. Tom's box it up was in race number 1. My box it up in race number 8. This is what the box it up looks like. Boom, boom, boom. In case you missed our early pick 5s and you want to play a pick 4 later on, I don't know if there's a pick 4 coming up now or not, Tom, but this is the way we broke down the rest of race 2, 3, 4, and 5 for our tickets. Hopefully, since I'm alive with a nice $16 horse, I can make it all the way down to the end this time. And instead of having one horse kill me at the end, I can have 2.
Kill you. Because it'll be your third choice will win, right?
That's how it always works out. But I'm not speaking that into the universe. I was listening to some good stuff last night, and basically, I am, therefore I am, right? That's what they say. I think I am, therefore I am. Well, I am going to win, and therefore I am going to win. I'm going to speak it into the universe. One other place that you might think about going today where you can win is Guaranteed Tip Sheet. Today, for all of our friends in Turkey, who I know Wednesday is Delaware Park Day, I keep that in mind, Delaware Park being our free track of the day. So if you're in Turkey today and you're betting on Delaware Park, that first horse in race number 1 at 3-5, but maybe in race number 2, the one horse at 8-1, Spotted Cat might be a better. You can get the free Delaware Park picks. There's a link in the description below here on Facebook and on YouTube. If you like what you saw, please, enthusiastic thumbs up on Facebook and on YouTube. Give us a like. Also, subscribe, follow us. And then finally, tonight on Horse Center, well, Sean does have a jockey survivor contest, but tonight they'll have Jamie and Sean will have on Jamie's good friend, Ronnie Allen. Who's going to have on today? I know he's going to have George Bryan on and George Allen Bryan. So there's a lot of people on that Jamie's friends with. So make sure you check that out at 8 o'clock. Should be another fantastic show. Tomorrow night, Tom and I will be back with Terry and Sean for our Players Edge podcast with Woodbine race caller, and we'll be covering all of the major races at Woodbine on Saturday. I think there's actually 2, maybe 3 Breeder Cup Challenge Series winning. You're in races, Tom. Again, Friday, we're going to go down under. So as always, very busy here at Horse Racing Radar TV. Make sure you catch all of it. Hit the subscribe buttons. I'm out of words, Thomas. Any final thoughts?
Survive today.
Absolutely.
It's a long day.
Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully it's a long, profitable day, Tom. And as always, make sure you make the most of every single day, whether you're betting at Indianapolis, Kentucky Downs, whether you're going to bet on Australia on Saturday, you're just going to take it easy today and get cracking on your NFL games tomorrow. No matter what it is you do, make the most of this day. Be good to yourself. And most importantly, may all of your picks end up in.
Be a winner in the winner's circle.
Yes, indeed. 1 hour and 15 minutes later. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow with Charles and I as we cover Churchill Downs.
And we knew it'd be long.
No, way long.